What if the thing that feels heavy isn't actually lack of capacity?
Welcome to the Black Madonna Codes, a weekly conversation for women leaders who know the sacred feminine cannot be contained, sanitized, or erased.
Through honest conversation about how the Magdalene principles are woven through history, race, spirituality, and current lived experience, we are widening the story and honoring the many cultures that have carried this wisdom.
We're inviting you to open your heart with us as we explore the Magdalene path with curiosity, humility, and reverence for the lineages we carry.
Okay, I'm actually excited for this conversation because I am in it.
So much.
There's been a lot of expansion going on. It's like all these things we've been talking about, this like connection to devotion and finding your most aligned path and the work that feels most rooted and everything. And it calls for expansion. The more we devote, the more expansion we're called into. And I get so excited. You know, I'm like one of those people that's like, yes, I love this, like, and then they go, okay, wait a minute. How many things have I said yes to? How do I actually hold all of this? And finding some balance.
Right. Matching the desire to do all the things with feelings of not having capacity to do all the things, or just there's only so many minutes in the day. There's so many hours in the day. Because you have all the things and then you have all the just standing responsibilities.
Yep.
Right. And you don't always think about those things when you're excited.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh yeah, this is so great. Like this is important and this is something that needs to happen. And then you say yes. And then the time comes to deliver or to prepare or whatever. And it's bumping up against all or so many of the other things you've already said yes to, or that you're just responsible for because you have kids or you have bills or stuff like that. So,
yep, absolutely. I think it's really, so one of the things that we haven't necessarily formally announced that we'll do right now is that we have decided to move the France retreat from September to May. And there were a lot of factors like some of what we're talking about included. There were also some like cool, I feel like synchronistic winks about this time in May being more aligned, both from women that have expressed interest and who are coming on the retreat with us, the pilgrimage with us, and also like other really cool things, like, you know, the fact that we're now going to get to go to the Sarah Lakali Festival, which is putting us in direct proximity with people who are in this living tradition. But there were some other real factors for me. Like I was like, okay, it's getting close to time. I could break my back and like light a fire under my ass and just run and, you know, get these enrollments and do the thing, right? And you're texting people at midnight and I've been there, I've done that before. Or I could trust this natural organic movement and community that's building and let this thing flow. And there was a real decision in that. It was like,
it's a real decision.
Yeah.
You said the most important thing right there. For me, trust. Trust is, I talk a lot in my own work about the intangibles, the impactful intangibles, the things that have big impact, but they're not measurable. Like there's no metric for trust, right? You don't put the metric for trust in a spreadsheet. It's not quantifiable in that way. And very often if it's not quantifiable, it's not real, or it doesn't carry any weight. And people don't really consider it. But trust is huge in terms of being in flow. It's in trust. It's important in terms of having velocity around what you're doing. Like if you're in a negotiation with someone and you don't trust them, then you have to do a lot of due diligence. You have to get lawyers, you have to get accountants, you have to, to really comb the numbers and the books. And when there's trust, and that trust is warranted, you can move much faster.
Yeah.
Right. But people don't calculate. They don't include that in the calculation. They don't include that in the calculus of planning, or when they're thinking about how to make something happen. And also, we were talking earlier about, you said you like that there's a spaciousness about working with me.
Yeah.
I really appreciated that, because it's, number one, it's intentional, because I'm also leaving space for, I'm going to use the word magic.
Yeah.
I'm leaving space for something to arise, for the thing I hadn't considered or hadn't thought about, but that's really useful and meaningful to present itself. Because sometimes when we're so tunnel vision and we're so focused and it's got to be this way, and I'm this, and I have my plan, and there's no room for deviation, then you can miss so much. You can miss the things that would make a difference. You can miss the thing that would get you to the tipping point of where you're trying to go. And it can and does often make it harder than it has to be. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants
that. Yeah. And I feel like this conversation around leadership in capacity, I have been in a lot of rooms where the conversation is just simply, how do we increase our capacity? And I have a client right now, because I also work one-on-one with people in different capacities. And I have a client right now. It's a lot of the conversation. Like, it's useful to examine, where are we wasting time? Where can we optimize? But like, I think that we have focused, in the business realm, for sure, in the leadership space in general, on optimization so much, we've left out some of these, like, maybe like, I don't know how else to describe it, more like inner, more womb based principles.
Right. It's like allowing.
Yeah.
It's when you're so rigid and so focused and so, it just has to be this particular way, you don't allow room for the unexpected. You don't allow room for, and maybe let's back up. The unexpected is scary for a lot of people.
So real.
Right? Unexpected feels like, no, I don't want unexpected. I want to know all the things. And so there's something really powerful with being able to hold not knowing, being able to stand in uncertainty and still move, and trust yourself. Trust that whatever happens, you will be able to meet the moment. You will have what you need to meet the moment. That's a totally elevated form of leadership, because when you're in leadership, you're not always going to have all the metrics. You're not always going to know all of the permutations of possibilities of what could happen or how it could go. You're not always going to have it. And you have to be able to make a decision without all the things.
Yeah.
And so how do you do that? You have to build your capacity. That's the capacity, not the capacity for, can I take on more stuff and do more stuff? It's the capacity to really trust yourself.
Yeah.
To be there. Trust yourself to show up. Trust yourself to know. Trust your knowing. And we are very oriented to looking outside of ourselves for those things.
So true. I think too, like, the conversation around manifestation really fits into what we're talking about too. it was many years ago that I first heard this concept, and then I had to test it out for years before I really, like, I'm at like a 99% in myself around it. There's still some, maybe I don't know, but 99% of me, this is the belief that I operate with, which is, and I use the term the universe, like whatever is out there in the unseen wants for me what I want for me even more than I do, and is constantly conspiring towards my success. I think about that as like the plants, the birds, the stars, my ancestors, the angels, the even people's consciousness. Maybe it's all just coming from me. I don't know. But like, I really, like, the more that I allowed myself to test that and lean into that, it's like, you can't be so attached to a single strategy. Like, you get to really align with like what is in the highest and greatest good here, and then follow each next step. And I have found that when I do that, things flow.
Right.
And when I don't, it's like pushing a boulder up a hill. And I could get shit done. I can push a boulder. I'm strong.
Right. You can totally do it that way. It's choose your own adventure.
Yep.
You like pushing boulders, man. I'll be waiting right here when you get there.
Yep.
When you're ready. So yeah, totally. That's a huge thing. And it also comes back to trust.
Yep.
You believe in something bigger than yourself. So
Yep.
this is one of the lines of demarcation. If you believe in something bigger than yourself, it's not a big leap to the universe is conspiring in my favor.
Yeah.
Right. And if you want to do the Christian version of that, that's asking it is given. All things are working together for the good. Right. There's scripture that mirrors that as well. And so, but you have to believe in something, right?
Yeah.
Something. I'm not saying you have to be a Christian, but you can't not believe in anything. Because if you only believe in what you can see, hear, feel, taste, and touch, if you only believe in the material world, you're missing out on this whole other facet of existence.
Yeah.
And, and nobody can convince you. It's something you have to come to yourself.
Yep.
But that believing in something is also a trust.
And I think like there's an element of privilege involved in this conversation too. Like, we can't always approach everything like this. Like, if you're working under a boss and you have a deadline and shit, like, that's just what you have. And different, like, there's different, circumstances. I think that when it comes to our soul calling, this element of like, but what am I here for? This is really where this conversation comes into play.
So this is the thing about, you mentioned manifestation. This is the thing about believing in something bigger than yourself and trusting that the universe or God is, and the angels and the ancestors, that everything is working in your favor, and that that the universe is conspiring for your good, right?
Yeah.
Is that, so you're in a situation where it feels kind of crappy, right? You're working under this boss and it's really hard. I have a friend who she did not like her boss at all. She created that her boss would get a new job. She moved the boss.
That is so real. You're right. Like,
what I'm saying. So the thing is, when you have a belief system, she didn't ask for her. She liked her job. She didn't want me to leave. She was like, yeah, this is untenable, this situation with this boss. And so she prayed, and she, how can I say, she meditated and she prayed, and she put energy and time and attention into creating the circumstance that her boss would be moved. And her boss was super happy. So it's not witchcraft. It's not casting an evil spell on someone. She didn't wish the woman evil. They just weren't, sometimes you're just not a good fit.
Yeah.
So it's in Landmark Education, the personal development company. They have a course called The Power to Create. It's in their communication curriculum. And I think about that all the time. I did take The Power to Create. And it's really about, it's teaching people that you can create your world with your words.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Which, as far as I'm coming from my background, growing up in Christianity, that's how God created the world. God said, let there be light. God said this and that, right? And those things came into existence. And so to recognize that your words have power. That's what abracadabra means, too. The magic word.
Yeah, what does it mean again? I've heard this before.
I know. I have to look it up to give you the exact translation, but yeah. But that is it's a real thing.
What do you think about while you're looking that up? Yeah, because I also have seen that weaponized in the personal development or like spiritual communities. Like people will use that and bypass the shit out of themselves. Like, well, then I can't speak, my real feelings or my real lived experiences. Or also, why do we keep repeating stories from history that are negative? Like, we shouldn't be saying them out loud, all that stuff. Like, yeah, it's interesting how like really beautiful principles can also suddenly become a whipping stick that we use against ourselves. I'm always like, there is more room for paradox in this concept.
Yes. Abracadabra is I will create what I speak or as I speak.
That's so cool. Yeah.
So the question now is, what do I think about how sometimes, right, so that people will take some of these principles and use them as a whipping post on themselves.
Yeah.
Right. So first of all, the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. And you have a choice again, right? You have a choice about, are you using your powers for good, or are you using your power to inflict unpleasantness on yourself and others?
Yes. Right.
And so like, that's a choice. It's a choice to see it that way. You're choosing a perspective. So it's like, you can say how you really feel, right? Like you can say this job really feels unsettling or uncomfortable or
whatever.
Or whatever it is. The thing is, you can acknowledge it, but are you building a house there? Do you live there? Do you constantly talk about it and harp on it? Because it's not just saying something one time.
Yeah.
Right? Do you have to have this conversation every day with your spouse about how terrible your job is or whatever the thing is that's bothering you? Or can you see it as Mary Morrissey's term, divine discontentment? Divine discontentment is an invitation to pivot. Divine discontentment is an invitation to create something else, to do something else. It's divine discontentment is I've outgrown this thing and I'm ready for the next thing. But if you're going to make it bad or wrong and then live there in your consciousness, that's one thing. Saying the thing one time, like saying, oh, I'm becoming aware that this is not really my cup of tea anymore. Oh, I used to love this thing. So whatever it is, I used to love Twinkies, right? When I was little. But I don't think I could eat a Twinkie now. It's not, and that's not to make the Twinkie bad or wrong.
Yeah.
Right. Can you not be okay with it and not have a judgment about it?
Right. Yeah. I think too, the element of intention, like sometimes something awful happens and you have to say it. You have to say it. So I've noticed in myself, if something really big happens, I'm gonna have to say it 5 to 10 times, tell the story to different people and be witnessed and held. And I've just noticed that about myself. So I've built in systems of support and stuff like that. But like, I think, and I'm exploring this as I say it out loud, intention, my intention whenever I'm speaking the thing is like, what is the intention? It might be because I want justice. It might be because I want freedom. It might be because I know I want to heal from this experience. Like, what is the intention? And I think the intention of what we speak is so big too.
Yes. What's the energy that the words are riding on?
Yeah.
Because that matters. That matters.
Yeah. I find that with any of these things, if there's not space for compassion for self, then we probably got it a little bit wrong. I don't know. I just don't subscribe to, stuff that tries to shove us into boxes or tell us, modes of behavior that are more appropriate and less appropriate and stuff like that.
I don't know if it's about so much. So appropriate is the language of judgment.
Right.
Whereas, does it work? Like, if you do this, this is the likely result. Is that the result you want? Like, sometimes with my kids, it'd be like, okay, you sure you want to do this? Like, my daughter got into two, she wanted to go to boarding school. And so there were two programs that would prep public school kids to go to boarding school. And she got into both of them. But one was way more rigorous than the other one. Mm-hmm. One was like this summer and then next summer. The other one was like 2 summers plus every Saturday during the school year. Every Saturday and maybe even a weekday. It was a Saturday and a weekday. Like, it was an intense program. And I left it up to her, which, like, it's up to you because you're the one who's going to have to do the work. And she chose the rigorous program. She was like, I want the hard thing. It's a choice. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Don't complain. Don't complain later. Like, I'm here. I'm going to ride this ride with you. And we're going to do all the things. And I'm going to give you all the support I can give you. But remember, this was your choice. This is your choice. Mm-hmm. And she did it. And she did not complain. Mm-hmm. So it's a choice too.
Yeah. So looping this all kind of back together, we're talking about, how we choose what we're doing with our time, when we find our devotion, how we discern, how we move with all of the parts and pieces around us, how our words play into that. I think this is interesting. I wonder if it's a good time to talk about hustle culture, because that came up in our conversations this week.
Because we talked about capacity too. That's how we started the conversation today, right? It's the other thing about capacity is, are you willing to build team and teamwork around getting there? Or do you feel like you have to do it all yourself? Because that also is, you can't. I ran for office, for public office. I ran for state assembly. And the overarching lesson from that experience was, you can't do anything big by yourself. Wow. You cannot do anything big by yourself. You want a bigger life, you want a bigger impact, you are going to need people. Can you enroll and inspire people? Can you get buy-in to the point that they're willing to take action? Can you do that? Because that's what's required to get to that level.
Right.
You cannot run for office by yourself. You cannot be the campaign manager and the treasurer and the get out the vote person and the social media man. You cannot do it. Yeah. You need people. You are going to need some people. And one of my favorite quotes from studying anthropology was Margaret Mead. I think it's Margaret Mead. And she's like, it's something about the what a small group of committed people can affect change. Like, you don't need everybody. You just need enough people. You need a small group of committed people to effect change. So But that's finding your people. That's
Yeah.
being in
Trial
conversation.
and error.
There's some trial and error, like you and I were just talking about. You have some people who you work with who support you. You have some support people, and they're good at these things, but they're not so good at these other things. And so, finding the people in your budget that can
Yep.
do the things you need them to do. Like it's a whole thing, but that's what you're gonna have to do to be big, to do something big.
Yeah.
If you're content living in your own little, in your own little world, in your own little square, fine. But, when you get inspired by maybe injustice, you see injustice and you want to make a difference, that's going to require you to get into community. That's going to require you to get into community. So.
And I feel so fortunate. Like when I first started as an online entrepreneur with my coaching business and my little desire to help people, that was really where I started. I was doing everything alone, and I was hiring coaches and things, but like, oh my goodness, even getting to the point where I could see like, what do I need help with, or what could help, or it's been such a growth journey. And I had one year, I called it the year of hiring and firing. I felt like, I was doing like the Ho'oponopono, thank you, I love you, I forgive you, I'm sorry to these people. Because it's like I would hire people and then be like, I don't even need that role. Or I'd hire somebody, think, oh, they are just right for the job. And then it was like, no, clearly I don't even know how to vet for this thing. It was a whole thing. And this year being in this, all of these things that we're talking about, I'm surrounded by support people who also are in alignment with these principles. Mm-hmm. And so, with this retreat, it's like, we've got Lauren, the retreat operations manager. I've got you by my side. I've also got my project manager, and everyone is like, okay, how do we find alignment? How do we make sure this is a full hell yes for everyone? Like, where do we need to pivot or shift? And we're, it's just been like, I'm like, thank you. This is so powerful to be among people who can hold space for that kind of flexibility. I think we're all learning and growing as we do it.
Entrepreneurship is the best personal development program on the planet. Mm-hmm. I stand on that. Fight me. Yeah, because the other thing, everything you just said is a function of knowing yourself.
Yeah.
Knowing yourself, knowing what you need, knowing how to articulate what you need.
Yeah. Practices in repair as well, like so big.
Yes, this is being in community, right? It's not that if you love somebody, if you're with somebody, if you're friends with someone, it is inevitable that somebody's going to do something that upsets the other one. From when you're kids, you've had your kids' friends over and they've spent all this time together and they were having a great time. And next thing you know, they're fighting. And you're like, wait, what happened? It's inevitable. What is important is, do you know how to have a repair and reconciliation conversation?
Yeah.
And it's not something that's taught, I don't feel like, enough. It's not part of our just order it's not something you learn automatically in our culture.
It's so true. And it takes practice, and it's all up in our edges. Capacity to say, oh, you're right, I was wrong. Capacity to apologize, like to hear and understand another person's feelings. And yeah, it's a whole thing. I feel like as we wrap up today, we haven't mentioned Mary Magdalene or Black Madonna in this conversation. It's like, this is the title of the show. It's the codes. It's like, I think about like what were the demands on Mary Magdalene? I have no idea. Like how she lived in devotion when she was walking alongside Yeshua or Jesus, and then how she lived in devotion for the her whole life basically afterwards.
Right.
No idea. Like that, I don't know that. I think that our busyness is unprecedented, probably.
I mean, we live in it's like almost a cult of busyness.
It's
like
real.
There's some sort of equation that some people have that busy equals important, or busy equals, I don't know, more value, makes you more valuable. So I know every one of us has seen or been with, or you are this person who talks constantly about they're doing so much. Yep. I'm doing so much. I'm so busy. I have so much on my plate.
Yep. Plus, I think the underlying thing I've discovered in my own, kind of internal renegotiation with how I be with time is like most often I kick it into high gear when shit is hard, because I'm like, well, I like the way this feels a lot better than I like the way sitting in that feels. And it's an unconscious, like, knee jerk. And suddenly I'm like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah. Sometimes it's an escape.
For
busyness,
sure.
People escape into busyness. People escape into motherhood, right? Like, who's going to deride you for going over and above for your kids?
Yeah.
When the reality is you're pouring out, but you're not taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
And so at the expense of other things that are important also. Yeah. But nobody will check you on that. So it's like a safe place to hide.
Yeah.
I'm just going to focus on my kids, when really you have a calling on your life. Your kids are important too, but there's also some other things that you need to be attending to, and you're hiding from that, like Jonah. And yeah, so there's that. But yeah, we're at time.
Indeed, we are. This has been a good conversation. These themes are so present for me. And I, as we sat and talked, we were like, this is the conversation of leadership today. And I think that, like, to tie it back to Mary Magdalene and to some of these like more ancient ways of being, a common theme that I see is this capacity to really know yourself, this capacity to really be with discernment and all the things that we've talked about today. And so much of that has been squashed out from our consciousness, from our collective, right? Like we're in the cult of busyness or whatever. So to just bring back some of that. And so if you've watched with us today, perhaps you walk away with some questions around how you can tune into your balance and your own flow and your purpose and calling. And we have so many wonderful things coming up that we would love. We've been in this conversation. And if you would like to be in conversation with us, we are holding a Magdalene Feast Day event, which is on July 22nd, if you're not familiar with that holiday. It's a Catholic holiday, but we're doing it in our own way. And anyway, so I'll put details for that in the comments. I forgot to put it in the description, but we'll be posting and announcing about that as well. And we'd love to be in the room with you, sharing in some of these conversations around the pieces that we're holding as women leaders today.
Yes.
Awesome. Thanks, Deidra.
You're welcome. Bye, everybody.